Hi, and welcome to Sacred Sound of the Soul. My name is Amanda. I'm the director of the Soul of Yoga Sound Institute, and we're here today to talk about the up and coming new cutting edge sound healing class that's come out, developed by Wa. She has been teaching and leading the yoga community for over 25 years, teaching meditation techniques and really bringing kirtan back to the Western side. So I'm super excited to welcome Wa. Welcome, Wa. Hi.
Hi.
Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
So much for joining me. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
Yay. It's really nice to be here.
Where are you at right now? Are you home or are you touring?
Right now we're in San Francisco, and we're on our way to Boulder to do a healing concert at the Fisk Planetarium.
Wow, that's fantastic. Do you find that there's a need and a calling for your healing concerts more now than ever?
Yeah, I think, the world continues to speed up and it just becomes more computerized. Everything's going faster, which is great when it's all connected. And when it doesn't hook up and when you get into problems and you're going that fast, you kind of fall on your face. So it's nice to have a place to land, if you will. It's nice to have just a class that says, tune into your own voice, come to, create a safe space, be with yourself. Yoga says that everyone is self-guided. So it's like to have this outward focus all the time is it's unnatural, and it can be hard on the nervous system. So we ask people to turn within.
Absolutely. You started, if I'm correct, did you start with the healing concerts or with the Talk Tone Heal workshop? I'm just wondering how, because I know the end part of how we got to integrative sound healing, but I want to hear the beginning of it. Like, where did it come from?
The Talk Tone Heal came first. So I was teaching mantra classes, and I'd go to certain towns where they weren't comfortable with a certain religious association that might conflict with their own religious association. So I was like, well, we don't, form is something that's just for the earth. When you leave the earth, there's no such thing as this saint or that saint. It's just the feeling of love. And so I said, let's just feel. Let's just chant Om. Let's chant Ma. And so we did that. And so Talk Tone Heal is 3 hours of chanting Ma in different architectures, with the hands in different places, feeling the sound as it moves through the body and moving into meditative states. So that came first. And then had a near death that took a long time to come to heal from that. And so in 2012, then I was well enough and I started doing the healing concert. So I was like, okay, just come and sit down. Just come and lie down. You don't have to do yoga. You don't have to do anything. Just come. So, it's just, we're trying to be in service, right, Amanda? I mean, we're just trying to supply people with the kinds of things that they need. And sound healing is what we need now.
You had a near-death experience?
I flatlined. Yeah. Yeah, I don't talk about it too much. Might be online. I definitely mention it in the introduction to the healing book, because it was the process of, I had a brain edema, so my brain swelled up with fluid. The Western medicine's remedy for that is to drill a hole in your skull. But flatline, dying is easy and coming back is filled with pain. And it takes a long time to get rid of the edema. So the edema went through all the organs, it went through all the joints, it went everywhere, and it took 4 years. They say it usually takes about 2 years to recover from a near death. It took me 4. So that introduced me to a whole bunch of different kinds of healers. I was in Europe, and there was some group that used rubber hammers and magic markers, and like, it was like, you're completely naked and they're like going around with rubber hammer. It was like, okay, I'm in, and other people that worked with angels and other people that work with sound. And so I couldn't move. I was in a wheelchair. And so this came out of that. The healing concert and the sound, integrative sound healing is for people who can't do yoga. Like, what do you do? That's my question. What do you do when you're not well? What do you do when you're in rehab? What do you do when you're injured? What do you do when you're ill? Do you just stop your practice? No. Like, these are tools that will help you restore. We hire out our self-care. It's silly.
Yeah.
So, it's like, okay, good. Come into class. We'll do a little tapping. We'll do a little massage. You'll lay down. You'll have time to just restore. And then we'll do a little humming and we'll go home. And you'll feel better. That's my promise to you.
And you'll feel better. That's my favorite thing about this class. I consistently talk about how I could teach a 90-minute yoga class and I probably feel a little bit tired afterwards. I certainly don't feel renewed and rejuvenated. But after teaching integrative sound healing, I feel great. I just toned and hummed and tapped and played the bowls and the harmonium and toned again. I feel fantastic after teaching that class. And so do the people that come. And that's the biggest thing that people say. I feel better afterwards. And I think that that's what's so great about this program is how simple it is. It's not a difficult thing. You don't have to get yourself into crow position in order to feel better. You just take some time to maybe which one is my favorite? I love that you have these cards that remind us to do nothing for a minute. How did you come up with this one, Wa?
The self-care cards are based on the timetable of Ayurvedic medicine and traditional Chinese medicine. And so there are 4 different suits and 4 different categories, and they correspond to the 4 different times of day. So we divided the 24-hour time clock, and those are associated with different organs, different emotions, different kinds of energies. So, to live a balanced life, you probably do need to do a little yoga. You need to activate, but you also need to do some breathing. You need to do some nurturing. You need to do some allowing, some meditation, some humming in order to be balanced. So you need all the brainwave states every day. You can't just do one.
Yeah, absolutely. I find also that with sound, it's so quick to drop in to that meditative state, whereas other techniques, I still have to work through my brain to slow it down, but sound can really take moments to connect to myself and to feel safe in my body. Could you
That's
talk a
wonderful.
little bit about the process of the class of the integrative sound healing and how why it's developed the way that it is?
The integrative sound healing class is a 75-minute experience, and we begin with a welcome and an overview of what's going to happen in the class, and then we do about 10 minutes of activating, so tapping, massaging, and different things that will activate people's energy, and also we call it clearing. So kind of clear out your junk. So we do some breathing, we do some tapping, all of that, 10 minutes and then 10 minutes, so about 20 minutes of clearing exercises using breath, tapping, and massage and stimulation. Easy stuff. Almost everything you can do in your chair. And then we do a 20-minute sound relaxation. So if you're familiar with yoga, then that would be called yoga nidra. So the sleeping or restorative posture in yoga. It can also be done sitting. So you just sit quietly and allow the sounds to wash over you. And then we do some humming. So the hands can be on the heart, they can be on the throat, they can be on the head, on the face. And then we put people into an architecture, usually back to back. So bringing universal energy. In chiropractic, they say it's innate intelligence, the spine. So they take the spines, put them together, and hum. And it creates a beautiful energy for both people to feed off of. and it doesn't involve conversation. So, there's no exertion, there's no sweating, there's no anxiety. You can be in a room with other people while restoring yourself. So that's different than people trying to sell each other, make friends, all this kind of what we call front to front interactions. So you get to back, and you just feel source energy together. And then you turn around, you talk about your experience for a few minutes, you thank your partner. We close with, some more humming or lokaha, samastaha, something that works for the group. And then we go home.
Fantastic. You know, uh, it's exciting because integrative sound healing has really only been born for less than a year,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's already being taught we have at Santee Elementary School. It's being taught right here in San Diego. I've taught it at the rehab center right across the street, not only for a drug rehab center, but also to hospice and Alzheimer patients. The rehab center. We have a memory care here, and we have multiple students, graduates from our last year's 100 hour who are already teaching. Where have you heard that it's being taught?
It really finds I would say it finds its place in the integrative medical centers. So basically, it comes under the category of stress reduction. So there are integrative centers that are associated with various hospitals. There's the Graf Institute in New Jersey. There's a beautiful hospital in Indianapolis. And so they offer other modalities like sound healing, like yoga, like mindfulness, that can help people deal with the stress of being ill in today's modern world. So, we have found success as well in the yoga centers, and now Amanda has started an entire institute that's just based on sound. I've used it in group therapies. So, there are many applications. We've done different exercises for, school children. There's a fun, in the last training, we've done this training now, I guess this is our second year. So last year we did a dramatization of, two kids fighting in school. And so then they have to sit back to back and sing happy birthday. And after a few rounds of happy birthday, then we say, okay, turn around and apologize. And if you can turn around and your energy is harmonious, then you can go out and play. So they turned around and started bickering, and I was like, okay, fine, go back to back, keep singing.
And Hanalei, who was in that dramatization, she uses that with her kids with great results.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many applications for how this can be used, but Amanda has been instrumental in creating the integrative sound healing class. So it is basically my teachings in 75 minutes. So, for me, I go into the teachings and then, 3 hours, 5 hours, 9 hours, no problem. She's like, no, we need it in the normal hour slot. So we have this 75-minute class that gives you a taste of it. And all you really need to do is just be pointed in the right direction.
Mhm.
Healing requires, the first ingredient for healing is space. The second ingredient for healing is coherent energy. And so this class does both. And it does it in an hour. It's like, good, let's be spacious. It's like, it can all wait. Let's focus on the breath. Let's focus on the heartbeat. Let's do a little clearing. Let's listen to the sound. We add coherent energy, and then you're good. You can go back.
I love that about this class. I'm a registered nurse and I'm still current. I'm an ER trauma nurse. And when I first took your Talk Tone Heal class, I just thought other people have to experience this. And so I stole your techniques and I started teaching them immediately. I mean, right away in every class that I taught and using them with my patients. And in my, I've been a nurse for about 13 years now. My 13 years, I have experienced personally burnout. I've seen multiple people drop out of nursing because of burnout. And that's why it was such a passion for me to get this class approved, for nurses to take continuing education credits for it, which we just got 2 days ago. We just received the acceptance for the American Holistic Nurses Association. We are now approved for 25 hours of nursing continuing education credits, which is phenomenal. I think that this class is not only good for helping your patients, right? That's caregivers in general. We're always looking to help other people, but I want you to take this class for yourself. I teach this class, and I talk about it, that this is for me. This class is for me, and I appreciate you coming, but I really want to help nurses in particular, and people, caregivers in general, who are under such great stress. Simple techniques of things that they can do to help bring themselves back into their bodies, to know that everything's okay. And your cards, maybe we can put a card up, like the hair one. Could you do this with us right now? Could you walk us through this?
Yeah. And,
Step.
we're trying to get these classes, in the hospitals or in the associated integrative medical center with the hospital, so that in an hour you can you can just kind of reset. It's great for first responders, great for any stressful profession. So you're just going to take your fingers and you're going to move the scalp over the skull bone. So you can see my scalp kind of moving. So you just you can move a hand in a circle like that, or you can do this, or you can just move the thumbs. You can grab tufts of hair. So just grab a tuft of hair and just move that up and down. And so as you encounter stagnant energy, which I'm sure you will, then you'll blow it out like you're blowing out birthday candles. Just show the old energy how to go out. So again, the first ingredient for healing is space. So we're creating space in the brain, getting the lymph system working. This is cerebrospinal fluid in the head. Don't forget the back of the head, base of the skull. And the acupuncture meridian lines, they move all through the head as well. The governing meridian is in the center. Gallbladder on the sides, triple warmer around the ear here. Good, so then shake the hands out. Take a breath in through the nose. Just get ready to let it go and blow it out. Lips are touching, teeth are not. A free flow of energy through the head, the neck, and the body. And when you're ready, open the eyes. So, just a few minutes, you could do that at the stop sign.
I have.
So have I.
It always makes my hair look better too.
I love it.
I remember that you were talking in class this last year about the Wi-Fi signals. Would you mind? I'm so excited about all of the different things we're going to learn in this training. And they're things that happen all the time that you just wouldn't think about. And that's one of my favorite things about continually being your student, is that you just bring in the most wonderful tidbits of knowledge. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Well, yeah. I mean, what helps people, yoga is an ancient practice, and traditional Chinese medicine as well, and Qigong. People say, oh, you do Qigong. I'm like, no, I did Kung Fu. I'm not aware that what I do is Qigong, but they say, this is the energy work that you're doing. And I have taken Tai Chi. And again, I've worked with different energy medicines. And so these are ancient technologies, but we live in a modern world. And so people need to know, well, why are we doing that? If you're humming and meditating, or for example, the four brainwave states, you're in beta brainwave state all, most of the day, getting things done. You're doing. It's all about activity. Alpha brainwave state is a little bit slower, and it's kind of daydreamy. Maybe you're staring off into space. You're not blinking as much. Then there's theta wave. So theta is where the restoration happens. It's nutrient assimilation. It's REM. It's it's a sleep state. It's also deep meditation. So in order to move from beta, which is active, into theta, which is healing, you have to move through alpha. And alpha is imaginative, it's fantasy, it's slower, it's just kind of like, oh, wouldn't that be great if I could just take a vacation? I would just take the day off, and then people would make me beautiful food. So that little bit of fantasy allows you to move out of the go, go, go state and into like a slower state, which then allows you to move into theta. Theta is what we're aiming for in mindfulness meditation, in the yoga nidra, in the sound relaxation that we do in this class. And so we're looking for the restorative frequency, but you can't restore like if you're in beta. Okay, go. Okay, feel better. It's like this kind of aggressive robotic behavior is characteristic of beta wave frequency. And that's not restorative, that's active. So, I try and supply the scientific research and the scientific kind of background for why these things work. Why am I asking you to do this?
Yes. Beautiful. So, if you're just joining us, we're here with Wa, and we're discussing our upcoming integrative sound healing training that's coming up this March 20th to 22nd. Now, Wa did something extra special for me because I am a new harmonium player. And if it wasn't for teaching this class, I would never have played the harmonium and the crystal bowls, my first love, together. And it has been a beautiful, magical journey to get to experience the breath of the harmonium along with the crystalline sounds of the crystal bowls. So my harmonium skills are very, very limited. So I asked Wa if she would teach a class called Harmoniums for Sound Healers, and she has so graciously agreed. Would you talk a little bit about what we can expect in that class? This is an optional class held before the training on the 19th.
Yeah, well, a lot of people have taken trainings to use the harmonium to chant mantra or to lead mantra. But I use the harmonium for shavasana or for relaxation or for the healing concert. And so you can expect to learn about the difference between Western music and Indian music, its intent and also its structure. You can expect to learn how one note relates to another. So in other words, in Western music, you have chords. And so you play the chord and you play the song. So there's the structure. And it's like Indian music is not like this. In Indian music, there's a note. Om. Added to that note is then another note, and it's all in relationship to what the Western world would call the tonic. But each note is a deity. And so as you learn the relationship between the notes, we're not playing chords. So, with Amanda, I said, well, what about, we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's like, what about 1 and 4? What about 1 and 5? Mm-hmm. What if you just went between 4 and 5, 4 and 5? And it's like, it's so soothing. It's like, why is that soothing? So then you can learn to use your voice as a toning instrument. They're just different ways that you can. Music is the sweetness. And so as we do this class, we're learning how to invite people into a more spacious energy, into a more spacious moment. And, like Amanda said, music does that very quickly, but not if you approach it from the Western music perspective. Not if you say, okay, now everybody listen up. We're going to do seat dot seat dot and it's like, no, we're not doing that. When you're using the harmonium for healing, you're moving in between the notes. You're moving in between the rhythm. You're moving in between spaces in order to find the space that will allow healing. And that means that we're allowing a space for the person who's listening to enter. So if you're chanting, then you're saying, okay, now it's your turn. Now you chant. But when we're in healing, we're trying to slow it down. We're trying to create something that is soothing enough and spacious enough and repetitive enough that a person would be like, oh, this is safe. This is safe. This is safe. And so, could we call it musical mindfulness? Yes. But it's a completely, it's a different approach, but we're going into the same goal.
I just love it. We could do an entire training just on the harmonium for sound healing. I just think it's such a beautiful instrument. I love how you explain it and how your teaching is so easy and it's fun to be a part of. I'm very much looking forward to our class in March. My final question for you is, what are you listening to right now? Like, what's your groove?
For some reason, the iTunes popped up in the middle of this interview. I don't know if it blared into your speakers, but it definitely went into mine. There is a beautiful man called the legendary Strawberry Man, and he plays a didgeridoo that has been modified. Kind of looks like a sax, and it must have some different capabilities. And he was with the Aboriginal people in Australia for a long time, and then they said, okay, now it's time for you to go and offer this energy for healing, to help people. And so I've been listening to him. I look for sounds that create connection to nature. And the Aboriginals are definitely connected to nature in a way that a lot of us can't even comprehend. Walking around barefoot, talking to the animals. And so, sometimes I'll use crickets, I'll use bird songs, I'll use foghorns, I'll use ocean waves, and sometimes the didge. So we don't normally use it that much in the sound healing, but you asked what I'm listening to these days. And I find it fascinating. It's just like, I can't do it. It's the bass tone that complements the voice so nicely.
I love the didge. I started playing the harmonium, and when you can kind of pump it, I
Yeah.
was like, oh, that's kind of like a didge sound.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. I really appreciate it. Again, please register now. Early bird price is good until Valentine's Day, so you have an opportunity to save $100 on registration fees. If you register before Valentine's Day, February 14th, you can see on the ticker. You just type in that website, and you go right to our webpage that talks about our entire sound healing program. And just to mention, it's a 1,000-hour program. Our first class that we have upcoming is the didgeridoo training, March 13th through the 15th with Sam David. He's phenomenal, and you'll be able to make your own didgeridoo with him, as well as learn all of the foundations needed. We have the harmonium class coming up with WA, our integrative sound healing training, and a number of trainings with top experts of the field: Christine Stevens, Sylvia Nakash, Jonathan Goldman. We're just very, very blessed here to have really the leaders of sound healing in the field coming to the Soul of Yoga. So again, thank you again, Wa. I just can't wait until March. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. See you guys there.